There are a bunch of YouTubers who make videos about their setups, but what is actually the best recording equipment for an online course creator? Back in 2021, I made a relatively popular video about this. Since then, now in 2024, I've helped thousands more creators, filmed more courses myself, and made some important updates to my setup. Specifically, we're going to focus here on a few pieces of equipment that are easy to use, easy to set up, and will make a much better experience for you to record, while also helping you look and sound great for your audience. One of the big differences between what a YouTuber might do and somebody like a course creator is that as a course creator, chances are maybe you're not already a YouTuber, and the main thing that you're working on in your business is probably not recording videos. It's building your course, marketing your course, interacting with customers, and probably, ideally, actually trying to do the thing that your course is about. So we want to create a really efficient setup that when you do have to record, you can sit down, press record, and you are ready to go. The way that I solve this is by recording at my desk, so I can have everything ready to go and record easily. For my camera, I'm not using a traditional webcam. Instead, I'm using the Sony a6400. It is the same camera I've been using for these last 3 years, and I would still recommend it as the best choice today because it gives you excellent 4K quality video. It has some of, if not still, the fastest autofocus that is actually available. And if you're moving around, then you don't want to have this unprofessional look from somebody seeing the camera constantly try to focus on your face. You want your face to always be sharp. There are some other variations of this Sony camera that have come out, both slightly newer, slightly older, slightly more expensive or less, but this is still the one that I would recommend. And specifically for this reason, because these cameras were not designed originally to be recording for hours at a time. And there are some other similar models that can overheat while they are on for a long time. The Sony a6400 does not have that issue, and I have consistently done 2-hour-long live webinars on it without any problems. Now, the way that I get this working with my computer is with a little device called the Elgato Camlink 4K. This is just a little USB dongle that you plug into your computer, and it will make it so your computer sees this professional camera like a webcam, meaning that not only can you use this camera to record videos for your course or YouTube, but you can also use it in Zoom or any other software and then have a very professional image. And this solves two problems. One is that not only do you get an excellent picture, but two, traditionally, if you want to use a more regular camera, you're setting the whole thing up and you've got to worry about battery life, you've got to worry about the SD card, and then after all that, you've got to import the files from the SD card onto your computer, and this whole thing is a pain. With the Elgato Camlink connected, when the camera's plugged in directly to your computer, you can also buy a small plug for the camera as a power adapter, so you don't have to worry about the battery. And then when it's in the computer, then you don't have to worry about the SD card because it's actually going to record directly to your computer's hard drive. Next is for my lighting. I've got two Elgato key lights mounted here on my desk, and there are a couple reasons that I really like lights like this. In my previous video, I was using lights from another company that were very similar. They don't seem to have their lights in stock as much anymore, and they're just a little bit harder to control. And so I'll show you in a moment here how you can use these key lights. But one of the great things about key lights like this is they are mounted to my desk, so I don't have to set up anything. They're not some old school like giant softbox that's gonna take up all the space in my room, and then I gotta find some way to put it away later because it's just too big, and more importantly, it's also too hot. These LEDs do not get hot, and it's just this very thin panel, so it's not gonna take up any extra space on your desk. It's also nice because I've got a standing desk here, and because they're mounted to the desk, I can just press the button and then still stand up. And if I wanted to record standing up, I could do that as well. And I like to leave these lights on at a lower brightness, even when I'm not recording. It's a good, nice extra light to have. You can adjust the color temperature on them, and it's not going to be something I have to worry about getting too hot. And when it comes to lighting, you want to make sure that you're in a good spot in your room for recording. If you take a look at Elgato's lighting solution, that is a pretty good option, but where you have these lights, or if you need these lights or not, may depend on what your room looks like. Ideally, you want to be positioned in a space where you don't have a bright light right behind you. So like if there's a window and the sun shining in, ideally that's not behind you and it's ideally facing towards you instead. And you could have a single light, or like what I have here is two different lights, and they're both shining this way to create a more balanced kind of lighting. Next is going to bring me to sound. Ideally, you're also going to be in a room that is relatively quiet. And as long as you have decent video quality, then the difference that you can make overall for the biggest improvement in quality of your videos is actually the sound. So sound is really important. And if you have a smartphone that you're happy with the video quality from that already, then a cheap microphone on Amazon might actually be a bigger upgrade for you overall than getting lights or a new camera. And you can go on Amazon and find like a $30 lavalier clip-on mic and use that in combination with your computer or your iPhone. Or again, if you want to record at your computer directly like myself, then something like the Blue Yeti microphone that I have here is a great option, because this is mounted to a microphone arm that is also from Blue. It's just all one package. It's only $200 for a really good quality microphone arm and the microphone itself and this mount. What is nice about this is this microphone is a USB microphone. Most other professional microphones are not USB and require a separate audio interface. So you've got to plug in a microphone into this audio interface and then the audio interface into the computer. And if you don't know anything about audio engineering or how that works, that is a whole new thing to learn. So this microphone is really easy because you just plug it in with USB like anything else, and you're gonna upgrade your sound. So to summarize here, I've got my camera set up as the computer's webcam and this microphone set up as the computer's microphone. And what I'm using to record this on my computer is this free software called OBS. I've made a separate video about this in the past. If you wanna learn how to use this software, it's Open Broadcaster Software is the long name for it, but it is free software and it's something that many streamers and YouTubers use to record. You can record directly to your computer. And what's nice is you can set up these different scenes and transitions. So let's say that you want to have a screen share showing and then switch that between your full camera view. You can control all of that from OBS and do it live, so you don't have to edit it afterwards. The next tool that I'm going to recommend, and while it's not something that's completely necessary, it makes the whole recording process a lot easier. And what that is the Elgato Stream Deck. In my last video, I made a recommendation for the Stream Deck Mini, since probably as a course creator, you don't need quite as many buttons as somebody like a live streamer would. But since then, a new product has come out called the Stream Deck Plus. And that's what I'm using today. That has these 8 buttons that are these mini screens you can program to be any kind of shortcut to different things on your computer. It also has a touch strip and then 4 dials. And where this is powerful is not only can it function as your record button or trigger controlling different scenes in OBS to switch between your screen share and your camera, but this can also control your lights because the key lights that I talked about are made by Elgato as well. So I can really easily just turn a dial here to adjust the brightness on my lights, adjust the color temperature, and it makes it really easy to deal with everything without even having to stand up. And I've made it really simple for myself that I actually programmed together a collection of shortcuts all into one button. So when I am ready to record, I press one single button and it sets all the lights in my room to the right brightness, the right color temperature, including the lights behind me. Then it turns on all the right apps on my computer and I'm all set to just hit record. So it really makes the process easy, and it's nice to have if you're into tech and want to use other kinds of shortcuts on your computer. The next tool is a teleprompter, and specifically the Elgato prompter. So I have not ever used a teleprompter until I bought the Elgato prompter, and I wouldn't consider any other teleprompter as a solution. This one in particular really makes my life easier, and the reason for this, and the reason why it's so good, is that teleprompters tend to be bulky, they tend to be expensive, and you tend to have all kinds of problems with the setup because, as I said here, the whole thing is supposed to be easy. I want to sit at my computer and record. I don't want to have to worry and set things up every time in some way that's going to hold me back from making that video. And so I'm using the teleprompter by Elgato here right now, and what you generally have with a more affordable kind of teleprompter is it's basically this reflector and shroud for the camera, and you're supposed to put like an iPad under it to reflect some notes onto your screen. The problem is, how do you get all your notes onto the iPad? And then you've got to set that up all the time. You've got to keep the iPad charged. That is just inviting hassles, the way I look at it. So the Elgato prompter is actually a screen itself, and it's a screen that connects to your computer via USB. So not only do you have a really easy solution to just put the notes right up there because it's already on your computer, but you can actually use this device as an extra screen when you're not using it as a teleprompter. And even better than just using it as a tool for notes is if you ever record something like a podcast, if you ever record something like a live workshop kind of thing where you're talking to other people, even maybe just for Zoom meetings, having a teleprompter is nice because it means you get to look directly at the other people you're talking to. So this teleprompter itself is $280. And it is everything you need. It has mounts for different kinds of cameras, like my Sony a6400. It's got an exact mount for the different lenses that I have, so it fits in there really nice, and there's no light leaking in or anything that you have to worry about. And now with all of this, I've got one more piece of gear that, in combination with the teleprompter, is something that makes my life easier, and that is the Stream Deck pedal. So if you like the idea of having something to control your recording, but you don't really feel like you want the whole Stream Deck Plus, then the Stream Deck pedal is another great option. And specifically, I have both of these things because for the teleprompter, I found that the most natural way to use it is not just having it automatically scroll, but when I can control how fast or slow things are scrolling up and down in my notes. And the pedal lets me do just that while I'm recording, because I still get to look at the camera and I'm able to have my arms moving around and looking more natural instead of sitting there and trying to twist a dial as I'm recording. And just like the Stream Deck Plus, you've got this menu of setting it up for the Stream Deck pedal, where you can have these 3 different buttons that are customized to any kind of keyboard shortcut or anything you want. And so with the Elgato Prompter, you can have one button set to move the notes faster, up or down, or stop them or pause them, however you want, with what you're seeing on the teleprompter screen. And one of the things that I set up on my Stream Deck pedal is when I'm not recording, I set one of those buttons to work for ChatGPT. So I'm often selecting code in my code editor or somewhere else and wanting to copy and paste that back and forth with ChatGPT. So instead now I can just select it with my mouse and press a button with my foot, paste it into ChatGPT, and at the whole time I can be using my mouse. And so I'm never having to move my hands or go and hit copy and paste over and over and switch between apps. I have a shortcut that's going to do that for me really simply. So that is all the physical gear and equipment that we're going to talk about. But next I want to talk a little bit more about the software you can use. I mentioned earlier in the video that OBS, or Open Broadcaster software, is great, and it's a completely free tool you can use to record to your computer. If you want to see my other video about that, I will link that in the description. But there is another tool that is really useful if you don't want to edit but still want to have some great looking videos. And that is called Screen Studio. You'll notice that I use this app on some other videos on my channel as well. And now, even though I do have a video editor helping me out, it still makes this much quicker for me to produce content. What Screen Studio does is it actually takes just your screen recordings, it can overlay then a camera, and it puts your screen recording over this very nice background that you can adjust the colors of or change it to your own. And more importantly, it automatically understands where you're clicking things with your mouse and will actually put in these automatic edits to zoom in and draw better attention to what you're showing. So it has this really nice easing motion on these zooms where it zooms in onto your mouse and it'll adjust the size of your video and all of that. And it makes it look like you spent a lot of time editing this video when really you just hit record and then let it kind of take care of it. And of course you can go and edit those things later on. So if it zooms in somewhere that you didn't want, or if it's maybe taking too long for that kind of zoom, but it'll really save you a lot of time and is a lot simpler for someone who's not really a video editor. Finally, I would recommend Krisp AI for software if you're in a situation where you can't have a perfectly quiet room to record. And I can attest to the many times over the years where there has been footage that would otherwise be completely unusable for me to have if I didn't have Krisp AI, both in like infants crying in the background, even situations where there were these giant construction vehicles making all this noise outside my office. In fact, the one time it was so loud, I had to have my AirPods in with noise canceling, just to be able to hear the person that I was talking to. And as I was talking to them, they had no idea that there was anything going on outside my room. So I'm gonna put links down below in the description to all of these pieces of equipment. And again, if you've got any questions about how any of this works, please leave a comment and I would be happy to help you out with that. I wanna stress here though, that my point and my goal is to get everyone here creating. I wanna make sure that you've got nothing holding you back from putting your content out there and making it the best that you can so you can iterate and improve as you go. If you're recording an online course of your own, and if you want to use the platform that I built for creators, the platform that has a dedicated AI that can actually watch and review your videos for you in your lessons, then take a look at my software, heightsplatform.com. We've got a free 30-day trial. There's no credit card required. And if you want to see more, check out this next video here.